The stars twinkled peacefully above Earth in the year 2157. For centuries, humans had looked up at those stars and wondered if they were alone. Today, they finally got their answer. A massive ship appeared near the moon. It was unlike anything humans had ever built. It was smooth and silver with strange blue lights that pulsed along its hull. Earth's governments scrambled to respond. After hours of panic and emergency meetings, they decided to send their best diplomat. Commander Samuel Wright stood tall as the shuttle carried him toward the alien vessel. He had been chosen because of his calm nature and quick thinking. The inside of his helmet smelled of recycled air as he tried to steady his breathing. This was humanity's first contact with aliens. Everything depended on making a good impression. 2 minutes to docking, said the pilot. Samuel nodded. He carried no weapons. Earth had decided to approach in peace. The alien ship opened like a flower, revealing a docking bay that pulled in the human shuttle with a gentle blue beam. When the doors opened, Samuel saw them for the first time. The Xelorians were tall, with skin that shimmered like oil on water. They had 4 arms and large eyes that seemed to look through him. "I am Krulthar, ambassador of the Galactic Terran Federation," one of them said in perfect English. "We have been watching your world for some time." Samuel was taken to a large room with windows that showed the Earth below. It looked so small and blue from here. Krulthar and other aliens sat around a table made of something that looked like glass, but felt warm to the touch. "The Federation spans thousands of worlds," Krulthar explained. "We bring peace and order to the galaxy." Over the next few days, Samuel met with the aliens many times. They seemed friendly. They shared stories about other worlds and amazing technologies. But Lieutenant Olivia Bennett, who worked in Earth's intelligence agency, felt something was wrong. Olivia was smart and careful. She had dark hair that she kept short and eyes that missed nothing. While the world celebrated the new alien friends, she worked late into the night, studying every word the aliens had said. "They keep asking about our military," she told her boss one night. "They want to know how many ships we have, how quickly we build them, how our weapons work." Her boss laughed. "Of course they do. They need to understand us." But Olivia wasn't convinced. She hacked into secret communications and discovered something that made her blood run cold. The Xelorians were not there for friendship. They saw humans as dangerous. Humans had developed technology too quickly. Humans had a history of war. The Federation Council had already voted to put Earth under what they called a protective quarantine. Olivia rushed to warn Earth's leaders, but it was too late. That night, the sky lit up with fire. Federation ships appeared around Earth. They fired strange weapons that cut through Earth's defenses like they were made of paper. The moon colonies sent desperate calls for help as they were destroyed. Space stations burned and fell from orbit. Samuel Wright was still on the alien ship when the attack began. He turned to Krulthar in shock. "Why? We offered you friendship." The alien's face showed no emotion. "Your species advances too quickly. You are too unpredictable. The Council has studied your history. You are violent and dangerous. For the safety of the galaxy, humanity must be contained. Your resources will serve the greater good of the Federation." As Earth burned, Admiral Daniel Carter watched from a hidden base in the asteroid belt. His face was grim, but not surprised. He had never trusted the aliens. While Earth's leaders had reached out in peace, Carter had secretly prepared for war. "They think they know humans," he said quietly to his officers. "They have no idea what we're capable of when we're fighting for our survival." He pressed a button, sending a coded message to bases hidden throughout the solar system. Project Phoenix was now active. Humanity would not go quietly into the night. The real battle was just beginning. Admiral Daniel Carter stood at the view screen in the hidden command center deep inside Ceres. The large asteroid had been hollowed out years ago, unknown to most of humanity. Around him, officers worked at their stations, their faces lit by blue computer screens. None of them spoke. They all watched as Earth burned. "How many civilians did we get out?" Carter asked. His voice was quiet but strong. "About 30% of the planned evacuation," said his second-in-command. "The attack came sooner than we expected." Carter nodded. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes burned with quiet anger. He was tall with short gray hair and a scar across his jaw from an old battle. For 10 years, he had warned that humanity needed to prepare for the worst. Few had listened, so he had created Project Phoenix in secret, gathering resources and building ships far from prying eyes. "Send the signal to all bases," he ordered. "It's time." Throughout the solar system, hidden bases received Carter's message. In the clouds of Jupiter, inside the rings of Saturn, and beyond Neptune, massive doors slid open. Ships emerged from their hiding places. They were sleek and black, built for war. Each one carried weapons that most humans didn't know existed. At a research station hidden on Pluto's moon Charon, Dr. Natalie Pearson watched her team prepare for departure. She was small with quick hands and a mind that few could match. For years, she had worked on technologies that seemed impossible. "Will it work?" asked one of her assistants, looking at the glowing blue core in the center of the room. Natalie smiled slightly. "The quantum shield generator works perfectly, and the FTL drive passed all tests. The aliens think they know human technology. They're wrong." The Solarians had established control centers on Earth and declared the planet under Federation protection. Their ships patrolled the space around Earth and Mars, believing they had contained the human threat. They had accepted Earth's surrender without question. But it was all a lie. In his office on the Solarian command ship, Ambassador Krelthar received a strange report. A Federation patrol near Jupiter had disappeared, then another near Saturn, then 3 more in the asteroid belt. "Probably equipment failure," said his assistant. "Human space is full of radiation and debris." Krelthar wasn't convinced. Something felt wrong. On Ceres, Admiral Carter stood on the bridge of his flagship, the dreadnought Retribution *. It was the largest warship humans had ever built, yet no one on Earth knew it existed. The bridge crew worked silently, preparing for battle. "Admiral," called the sensor officer, "the first wave is in position." Carter looked at the tactical display. 100 ships waited for his command. It was a small force compared to the Federation fleet, but Carter had no intention of fighting fair. "All ships, this is Admiral Carter. The Federation came to our home uninvited. They attacked without warning. They believe they know humans. They believe we are weak. Today, we show them how wrong they are." He paused, looking at the faces of his crew. "Today, we begin the fight for our survival. But mark my words, this will not just be a fight for survival. When we are done, the Galactic Federation will be nothing but a memory." The Retribution * moved forward, leading the first wave of humanity's hidden fleet. Their black hulls absorbed light, making them nearly invisible against the darkness of space. They moved silently toward the Federation forces orbiting Mars. On Earth, people looked up at the night sky and saw strange flashes of light. Some thought it was the Federation ships. Others thought it was just stars. None of them knew that the real fight for Earth had just begun. In her secure bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Lieutenant Olivia Bennett received an encrypted message. When she decoded it, she smiled for the first time since the invasion began. "Phoenix rises," it said. She looked at the small group of resistance fighters around her. "It's time," she said. "We're not beaten yet." The hidden fleet of humanity had emerged from the shadows. The Federation's easy victory was about to become its worst nightmare. 3 years had passed since the Federation attack. On Earth, people lived under alien rule. Federation ships filled the skies. Federation soldiers walked the streets. To anyone watching, it seemed that humans had accepted defeat. But appearances were deceiving. Major Eric Sullivan moved through the crowded market in what used to be Chicago. He looked like any other tired worker heading home after a long day. No one paid attention to him. Not the human shoppers. not the Federation guards with their strange four-armed salutes. Eric entered an old building and walked to the basement. He placed his hand on a dirty wall, and a hidden scanner read his fingerprints. A door slid open silently. Inside, 20 people sat around old computers and radio equipment. This was one of hundreds of resistance cells spread across Earth. Their job was simple but dangerous: identify humans who could be saved and get them off planet. "How many tonight?" Eric asked a woman operating a radio. 50, she replied. "Families with children. The Federation is taking too many for their work camps." Eric nodded. "The shuttle will be at the old train yard at midnight. No lights, no sounds." Across the solar system, the exodus continued. Every night, stealth ships slipped past Federation patrols. They collected humans from hidden pickup points and took them to bases throughout the asteroid belt and the outer planets. On Pluto's moon Charon, Admiral Carter had established Alpha Base, the headquarters of the Resistance. What had once been a small research station had grown into a massive complex hidden beneath the moon's surface. Carter walked through a huge underground hangar where engineers built new ships. The hangar stretched for miles under the moon's surface, filled with activity that the Federation knew nothing about. 3 more destroyer-class vessels completed this month, reported his aide. "And Dr. Pearson wants to see you. She says it's important." In her lab, Natalie Pearson waited with a thin man named Kevin Hayes. Kevin had been a video game designer before the invasion. Now he was one of humanity's most valuable assets. "We've done it," Natalie said when Carter arrived. "Kevin's eye combat system is ready." Kevin stepped forward. He looked tired, with dark circles under his eyes. "The system can predict Federation tactical decisions before they make them. We've tested it against all their known battle patterns. It wins every time." Carter smiled slightly. "How long until we can install it in our ships?" 2 months for the full fleet," Natalie replied. Carter nodded. "Good, because we're almost ready." In another section of Alpha Base, analysts studied information stolen from Federation databases. They had learned that the Federation ruled over 10,000 worlds. Some were willing members. Many were conquered peoples who had no choice. The analysts had also discovered something important. The Federation had not faced a serious military challenge in over 500 years. Their tactics were old. Their commanders were used to easy victories. On Earth, the Federation governor Zexmax sat in his office in what had once been the United Nations building in New York. He read reports about human productivity in the mines and factories. "They work hard," he told his assistant. "They cause few problems. Perhaps this species is not as dangerous as the Council feared." His assistant agreed. "They surrendered quickly. They accept our rule. The quarantine is working." At that moment, a Federation patrol ship exploded in orbit, destroyed by a mine placed by resistance fighters. The governor received an urgent message, then another, then 5 more. "What is happening?" he demanded. His assistant checked the reports. "Minor incidents, Excellence. Nothing to worry about." But deep under the surface of Charon, Admiral Carter met with his war council. Holographic displays showed Federation fleet positions throughout the solar system. "The Federation thinks they've won," Carter told the assembled officers. "They think we're beaten. For 5 years, we've let them believe that. We've gathered intelligence. We've built our forces. We've moved our people to safety." He looked at each person in the room. "Now it's time to show them what humanity is really capable of. In 1 month, we launch Operation First Strike." The officers nodded. After years of preparation, the real war was about to begin. Captain Lisa Rodriguez sat in the command chair of her ship, the Shadow Asterisk. Her vessel was small but fast, painted black to blend with space. She and her crew had trained for this moment for years. "All systems ready, Captain," her first officer reported. "Stealth systems active." Lisa nodded. She was young for a captain, only 32, but she had proven herself in simulation after simulation. Now it was time for the real thing. "Begin approach," she ordered. "Maintain radio silence." The Shadow moved silently toward the massive Federation communications relay station orbiting Proxima Centauri, the star closest to Earth's sun. This station connected all Federation forces in this sector of space. It was heavily guarded by Federation warships. But the Federation had never faced ships like the Shadow. Across the star system, 5 other human ships approached their targets. Each one carried special weapons designed to disable rather than destroy. Admiral Carter's plan required precision, not just power. On the bridge of the Retribution Carter watched the operation unfold on his tactical display. Each human ship appeared as a green dot, nearly invisible until they struck. "First strike teams in position," reported his tactical officer. Carter took a deep breath. This was the moment that would change everything. After 5 years of hiding, humanity was about to announce its return. "All ships, execute Operation First Strike," he ordered. At Proxima Centauri, Lisa's ship slipped past the Federation patrol vessels. The Shadow had advanced stealth technology that bent light around its hull. It also absorbed radar signals instead of reflecting them. To the Federation sensors, it simply didn't exist. The Shadow moved alongside the massive relay station. Federation engineers had built it never imagining it would be attacked. "Deploy boarding teams," Lisa ordered. Suited figures left the Shadow and moved toward the station. They carried special cutting tools and weapons that used electric pulses rather than bullets. They needed to capture the station intact. In other parts of the system, human ships launched their attacks. They targeted Federation patrol vessels, weapons platforms, and supply depots. They struck quickly and without warning. On the Federation command ship, Admiral Vexlor received alarming reports. "We've lost contact with Outpost 7, an officer reported, and Outposts 3, 9, and 12. "What?" Vexlor demanded. "How is this possible?" "Unknown, Admiral. Our sensors detect nothing." Then the main view screen went dark. The communications relay had been captured. Lisa Rodriguez and her team took control of the station in less than 10 minutes. The Federation crew had been stunned with electric pulse weapons. No one was killed. "Station secured," Lisa reported to Admiral Carter. "Uploading the Federation communication codes now." Carter received the codes with satisfaction. These would allow human forces to listen to all Federation communications in the sector. It was like having the enemy's playbook. "Begin Phase 2, he ordered. Lisa's team planted charges throughout the relay station, carefully placed to damage, but not destroy. When they returned to the Shadow, she gave the order to detonate. The station didn't explode. Instead, key systems failed in sequence. To the Federation, it would look like a catastrophic technical failure, not an attack. Across the system, all 6 human ships completed their missions without a single casualty. They slipped away as silently as they had arrived. On his command ship, Federation Admiral Vexlor struggled to understand what had happened. "It must be equipment failure," one of his officers suggested. "These outposts are old." But Vexlor wasn't convinced. All failing at once. That's not possible. 2 days later, Federation repair ships arrived at the damaged relay station. As they began work, they made a shocking discovery. The damage was not accidental. "Admiral," reported the chief engineer, "the station was attacked. The damage patterns are deliberate." "Attacked? By whom?" "Our sensors detected nothing." The engineer hesitated. "We found this, sir." He held up a small metal object. It was a badge with a strange symbol, a phoenix rising from flames. The Federation had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They had forgotten what it meant to face a real enemy. They had become complacent. That complacency was about to cost them everything. Commander Gregory Peterson's ship drifted silently through the darkness of the Arcturus system. His mission was different from the military strikes happening across Federation space. He was looking for something, or rather someone. Sensors detect a mining colony on the fourth planet, his science officer reported. Federation energy signatures, but strange life form readings. Greg nodded. This matched the intelligence they had received. Take us in. Maintain stealth. The ship landed on a barren plain far from the mining colony. Greg led a small team across the rocky surface. They moved carefully, using the rugged terrain for cover. What they saw at the colony shocked them. Tall, thin beings with gray-blue skin worked under harsh conditions. Federation guards with energy weapons watched them constantly. The workers looked tired. Many had injuries. Nirdali, whispered Greg's translator. The Federation conquered their homeworld 3,000 years ago. They've been slaves ever since. Greg watched as a guard struck one of the workers who had stopped to rest. His hand tightened on his weapon, but he stayed hidden. The time would come. That night, when the guards changed shifts, Greg's team slipped into the colony. They found the Nirdali leaders and explained who they were and why they had come. We are humans, Greg told them. The Federation attacked our world too. But we fight back. We want to help you fight back as well. The Nirdali were afraid at first. After thousands of years of slavery, the idea of freedom seemed impossible. But Greg showed them videos of human ships defeating Federation forces. He showed them evidence that the Federation was not as strong as it seemed. Join us, he said. Help us bring down those who enslaved you. Slowly, hope grew in the eyes of the Nirdali. They agreed to help. At the same time, far away, diplomat Sofia Martinez met with representatives from other conquered worlds. Sofia had once been a teacher before the invasion. Now she used her skills to build alliances. The Federation tells everyone they are invincible, she told the gathered aliens. They want you to believe resistance is useless, but they are not invincible. We have proven that. She showed them battle footage of human ships defeating Federation vessels. The aliens watched with amazement. We do not ask you to fight yet, Sofia continued. We ask only for information. Tell us about Federation defenses. Tell us about their weaknesses. When the time comes, join us if you wish. One by one, the representatives agreed. For some, it was the first act of defiance in generations. Back on Alpha Base, Admiral Carter received reports from these missions. A map on his wall showed growing points of light across Federation space. Each light represented a new ally or a successful strike. Dr. Jeffrey Collins worked with these new allies to create messages that spread across Federation space. He had been a marketing expert before the invasion. Now he used those skills to fight a different kind of battle. Fear is their weapon, he explained to Carter. We need to take that away. The messages were simple. They showed Federation defeats. They told stories of human resistance. They spread from planet to planet, from ship to ship. On the Federation capital world of Siloria, the Council met in emergency session. The massive chamber was filled with representatives from the ruling species. Their usual calm was gone, replaced by fear. These humans are unlike any species we have encountered, said High Counselor Zixkor. They were supposed to be contained. Instead, they spread through our space like a virus. Worse, said another counselor, they inspire others to rebel. The Nirdali mining colony in Arcturus has stopped all production. 3 other subject species have reported unrest. Zixkor looked at the reports with growing alarm. The humans must be stopped at all costs. They are an existential threat to the peace we have maintained for millennia. The Council voted unanimously. Every available Federation warship would be mobilized. The human problem would be solved once and for all. Little did they know that this was exactly what Admiral Carter had been waiting for. The edge of the Orion Nebula glowed with purple and blue light. The gases formed beautiful patterns that had once inspired poets. Today, they would witness the largest space battle in galactic history. Federation warships gathered by the hundreds, then thousands. Their silver hulls reflected the colorful nebula light. High Admiral Zex Killer stood on the bridge of the massive flagship Eternal Dominion *. It was the most powerful warship in the Federation fleet, over 2 miles long with weapons that could destroy a small moon. All ships in position, High Admiral reported his second-in-command. 5,000 vessels as ordered. Zex Killer nodded. This force would crush the human rebels once and for all. Federation intelligence had discovered that the main human fleet was hiding within the nebula. The humans thought they were clever, but the Federation had found them. Now they would be destroyed. Begin the attack, ordered Zex Killer. No survivors. The Federation ships moved forward in perfect formation. They had used these same tactics for centuries. There was no reason to change what had always worked. Inside the nebula, Admiral Carter watched the approaching Federation fleet on his tactical display. Everything was going according to plan. The Federation had taken the bait. "They believe our main force is in Sector 7, said his tactical officer. The false signals worked. Carter allowed himself a small smile. "And where is our actual fleet?" "In positions 3, 4, and 9, sir. Ready on your command." Carter nodded. "Begin Operation Entanglement." Throughout the nebula, human ships activated special devices developed by Dr. Natalie Pearson. These quantum entanglement communicators allowed the fleet to coordinate instantly, without radio signals that could be detected. Captain Ryan Morgan received his orders through this system. His ship, the Phantom carried a Special Forces team trained for one specific mission. "Move into position," he ordered. "Prepare boarding parties." The Phantom slipped through the nebula, unseen by Federation sensors that were focused on the false signals in Sector 7. Ryan's target was the Federation flagship itself. The Federation fleet pushed deeper into the nebula, weapons firing at the location where they believed the human ships were hiding. But they hit nothing. "No impacts registered," High Admiral reported a confused officer. "No debris. No returns." Before Zex Killer could respond, alarms sounded throughout his ship. "Multiple contacts," shouted his sensor officer. "Hundreds of ships appearing behind us." The human fleet had emerged from hiding, but not where the Federation expected. Instead of being trapped in the nebula, the humans had surrounded the Federation fleet. Admiral Carter's voice came through on all Federation communication channels. "Federation vessels, this is Admiral Daniel Carter of the human fleet. You are surrounded. Your tactics are predictable. Your technology is outdated. Surrender now." Zex Killer laughed. "We do not surrender to primitives. We still outnumber you." "Numbers aren't everything," replied Carter calmly. At that moment, human ships opened fire from all directions. But they didn't use normal weapons. Instead, they fired strange blue beams that passed right through Federation shields. "Shields failing across the fleet," reported Zex Killer's officer. "How is this possible?" Federation ships began to lose power. Their engines shut down. Their weapons went offline. It wasn't destruction, it was humiliation. On the bridge of the Eternal Dominion Zex Killer felt his ship shudder. The lights flickered. Then he heard sounds he never expected. Boots on metal, running through his ship. Captain Ryan Morgan and his team had boarded during the confusion. Using the advanced AI combat system, they moved through the Federation flagship with precision and speed. Within minutes, they reached the bridge. "High Admiral Zex Killer," said Ryan, his weapon aimed at the alien commander. "Your ship is ours now." Across the battlefield, Federation ships were disabled one by one. Some fought back, but their outdated tactics were no match for the human wolf pack maneuvers. The Federation fleet, which had never known defeat, was being systematically taken apart. On his bridge, Admiral Carter watched with satisfaction. 5 years of planning, building, and waiting had led to this moment. "Signal all ships," he ordered. "Secure prisoners. Minimal casualties." As Federation ships surrendered by the hundreds, Carter received an unexpected message. It was from High Admiral Zex Killer himself. "Admiral Carter," said the Federation commander, "I have watched your tactics. I have studied your species. The Council was wrong about humans. I wish to defect." News of the Federation defeat at Orion spread quickly through the galaxy. For the first time in thousands of years, the Federation had lost a major battle. The myth of their invincibility was broken. Admiral Carter wasted no time. He gathered his fleet and pushed toward the Federation core worlds. His ships moved fast, striking key targets before the Federation could respond. "The momentum is ours," he told his commanders. "We must not give them time to recover." The human fleet, now called the Armada of Retribution by both humans and their allies, grew larger with each system they liberated. Ships from freed worlds joined the fight. Former Federation soldiers who had been forced to serve now turned against their masters. On the bridge of the Retribution Admiral Carter studied a star map with former Federation Admiral Zexkilor. The defector had proven his loyalty by providing valuable information about Federation defenses. "The Federation is fracturing from within," Zexkilor explained. "The Council members blame each other for the defeats. Subject worlds are in open rebellion. Military commanders don't know who to trust." Carter nodded. "Then it's time for the final phase. We take the fight to Xaloria." Zexkilor looked shocked. "The Federation capital. It's the most heavily defended world in the galaxy." "Which is why they won't expect us to strike there directly," Carter replied. "They'll expect us to continue attacking outer systems." Across Federation space, the situation grew worse for the once mighty Empire. On a dozen worlds, oppressed species rose up against their rulers. Federation military units, used to fighting external enemies, struggled to contain internal rebellions. The Federation Council met in emergency session on Xaloria. The Grand Chamber that had once hosted calm discussions of galactic administration now echoed with angry shouts. "We must negotiate with the humans," shouted one council member. "Offer them independence before we lose everything." "Never," replied High Counselor Zixkor. "If we show weakness now, all our subject worlds will demand freedom. The Federation will collapse." As they argued, a junior officer entered the chamber with an urgent message. The officer was so frightened that he interrupted the High Counselor, something that had never happened before. "Forgive me, Excellencies," he said, his voice shaking, "but human ships have been detected approaching Xaloria. Hundreds of them." The council chamber fell silent, then erupted in panic. High Counselor Zixkor rushed to the military command center beneath the council building. Federation generals were already there, shouting orders to the defense fleet. "How did they get past our outer defenses?" Zixkor demanded. "Unknown, Excellency," replied the senior general. "They seem to be using some kind of technology that masks their approach until they're almost on top of us." Zixkor looked at the tactical displays. The situation was worse than he had imagined. Not only were human ships approaching, but Federation vessels were deserting, their captains refusing to fight. "Open a channel to the human fleet," he ordered. "I will negotiate terms." Admiral Carter received the transmission on the bridge of the Retribution *. The face of High Counselor Zixkor appeared on his screen. "Admiral Carter," said the counselor, trying to sound confident, "this conflict has gone on long enough. The Federation is prepared to recognize Earth's independence. We can discuss reparations for damages." Carter cut him off. "You misunderstand our intentions, Counselor. We're not here for independence. We're here for justice." He ended the transmission and turned to his communications officer. "Send the signal to all ships. Begin Operation Thunderclap." Throughout the Xalorian system, human ships and their allies moved into attack positions, but this would not be a fight of total destruction. Carter had been clear about that. They would disable, not destroy. Capture, not kill. On a transport ship approaching the capital city, Colonel Olivia Bennett checked her weapons. 5 years ago, she had been a lieutenant who discovered the Federation's true intentions. Now she led the ground assault team that would capture the Federation Council. "Remember," she told her soldiers, "We are not like them. We don't kill unless necessary. We came for justice, not revenge." The first shots were fired. The battle for Soloria and the future of the galaxy had begun. The sky above Soloria burned. Federation defense platforms exploded one after another as human ships moved through the capital system. Unlike the Federation, which relied on overwhelming force, the human fleet used speed and precision. On the ground, Colonel Olivia Bennett led her team through the streets of the capital city. The tall spires of Federation buildings towered above them. Federation soldiers tried to stop them, but they were confused and poorly organized. "The council chambers are ahead," Olivia said, checking her tactical display. "Security is heavy." Her team moved carefully. They used stunning weapons rather than lethal ones. They wanted prisoners, not bodies. In orbit, Admiral Carter directed the space battle from the Retribution *. His ships executed Operation Thunderclap perfectly. They struck multiple targets simultaneously, overwhelming the Federation's ability to respond. "Focus on their command ships," Carter ordered. "Disable their communications first, then weapons, then engines." The human ships moved like wolves hunting prey. They attacked in small groups, striking weak points before moving to new targets. The Federation ships, used to fighting in rigid formations, couldn't adapt. Former Admiral X-Killer stood beside Carter, watching his old comrades fall. "The Federation has forgotten how to fight a real war," he said. "They've had no real enemies for too long." In the council chambers, High Counselor X-Core and the other leaders prepared to evacuate. They rushed to gather important data and treasures. "The escape ships are ready, Excellency," reported a guard. But before they could leave, the massive doors to the chamber burst open. Colonel Olivia Bennett and her team entered, weapons raised. "High Counselor X-Core," Olivia said calmly. "In the name of humanity and all species you have oppressed, you are under arrest." The counselor looked at her with hatred. "You primitives, you have no idea what you've done. Without the Federation, the galaxy will fall into chaos." Olivia shook her head. "The galaxy was never yours to control." Across the city, human forces and their allies secured key locations. The Federation capital, which had stood as the center of power for 1,000 years, fell in less than a day. Admiral Carter landed his shuttle in the main plaza a few hours later. He walked up the steps of the council building, where Colonel Bennett waited. "The council is secure," she reported. "All high-ranking officials captured." Carter nodded. "Casualties? Minimal on both sides. They surrendered quickly once we had the council." Inside the Grand Council chamber, Carter addressed the captive Federation leaders. Representatives from dozens of formerly enslaved species stood as witnesses. "For centuries, you have ruled through fear," Carter said. "You conquered peaceful worlds. You enslaved entire species. You attempted to do the same to Earth." He looked at each council member. "You will stand trial for these crimes. The evidence will be presented. Justice will be served." Over the next weeks, ships arrived from across the galaxy. The representatives of 100 worlds gathered to decide the future. The trial of the Federation leaders was broadcast to every planet. The evidence of their crimes shocked even those who had served the Federation loyally. After the verdicts were delivered, Admiral Carter met with the gathered representatives. They asked him to lead the new government that would replace the Federation. Carter refused. "Humanity did not fight to replace one empire with another," he said. "We fought for freedom, for ourselves, and for all of you." Instead, the Interstellar Alliance of Free Worlds was formed. Each world would govern itself, while the Alliance would handle matters that affected everyone. 6 months later, Admiral Carter stood on the surface of Earth's moon. The place where the Federation had first attacked now held a memorial to those who had died. But it also held something else, a peace monument that representatives from across the galaxy had helped build. Carter touched the monument gently. "We came close to becoming what we fought against," he said to the officers with him. The desire for revenge is powerful. One of the officers nodded. What stopped us? Carter looked up at the stars. Stars that were now filled with free worlds rather than an empire. We remembered what we were fighting for, he said, not just to destroy the old, but to build something better. Hidden within the Peace Monument were weapons systems, just in case. Humanity had learned its lesson about being unprepared, but Carter hoped they would never be needed. The galaxy had entered a new age, and humanity had found its place among the stars.